the mighty and resilient Merrimack River, carving through the communities of our great region. My name is Linda Lorden, proud president of Merrimack County Savings Bank, and like the river that serves as our namesake, we're a constant yet ever-changing presence. Because to us, it's bigger than banking. It's about powering communities and putting people first. It's about knowing where you came from and where you're going. That's Merrimack style. Visit us at themerrimack.com.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, medical, or mental health advice. The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the podcast and are not intended to malign any religion, group, club, organization, business, individual, anyone, or anything.
Hey everyone, it's Nippy here. Here's a replay from the vaults that was originally broadcast especially for our Little Bit Culty Patreon crowd. You can get more of this kind of thing, plus ad-free flagship episodes and other exclusive treats if you hang out with us on Patreon. Cold chillin'. Sometimes we Zoom, sometimes we make word salads, you never know. So come on over, why don't you? All the cool kids are doing it on Patreon. Find us at patreon.com/alittlebitculty. Welcome, JB, a.k.a. John Bryant, an overdue interview, correct, sir?
We've been talking about this, I think, actually, since the podcast existed.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Really, it's the song existed, and then the podcast followed.
But the cult existed, and then the song existed,
Right.
and then the podcast came.
And before that, you existed.
I did.
You were here
Was around.
on Earth,
Uh-huh.
and somehow you managed to find your way into this crazy group. So let's start there.
Which leads us to the first question. And I think for our audience, it'd be great to hear what were the rumblings of what was probably ESP and ethos to you originally. NXIVM didn't really exist as a name as much as it was, hey, there's this course. Like, what was your, walking around Vancouver, heard about it, heard the buzz, got in, and then your hit single?
Well, I first heard about it through someone very close to me, a family member, and I'll leave it at that. She brought it up to me probably back in 2016, 2015, maybe a couple times in a year. And she said, hey, you're an artist. You want to build your business. You want to build your identity. You want to know yourself better. You want to become emotionally intelligent, mature, improve your life in every way possible. I have something for you. Here's the pitch. So she
pitched it like that.
Yeah, it was like, this will help you in every way as a musician, as an artist, as an actor. And then I was like, nah, I'm good. I'll be fine. Then I went on a tour, and it was always money for me because as an artist, I'm always like, when am I going to get the next paycheck? And I went on a tour, and I did pretty well. And I had some extra money, and she was like, you should do it. You should just do it. Yeah, you're right. And she's like, if you knew you could improve your life indefinitely and exponentially, and it just cost you this much money, would you do it? I'm like, yeah, I guess I would. It's not that much considering what she's proposing, what could happen. So I that's how I got into it.
Did it happen?
Yeah, totally.
Thank you, Vanguard.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vanguard. I always loved knowing, was there one particular thing in the pitch that you were going for? I'm going to pay $2,000 and I want to X. What is it that you were wanting to develop? And all those things that was really what was your hook?
Oh, the hook was
family member.
Family
is huge.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I heard.
I trust this person. The thing that got me, it's kind of silly to think about now, but I would have really bad temper tantrums when I'd be driving. And I remember you were there. We were at JJ Bean and we were chatting, and you said, what makes you really angry? And I said, parking tickets.
I remember this.
And making a wrong turn. I just lose my mind. I'm just if I miss an exit, I'll just go crazy. Is that you too?
Yeah.
Not many things disturb my calm. You've seen me in traffic.
Honestly, he turns into a different person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I get it. But I guess you never EM that, Nippy, when you were in NXIVM.
I'm going to keep it.
Keep it. Yeah, hold on to it.
It's not limiting me with the traffic. I'm already limited being in traffic.
But also back up, interesting nugget there, just remembering, sometimes these memories come back when people remind me. We did so many enrollment meetings at JJ Bean.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was
That was the spot.
we called it our office because we didn't have an office, right? So
Yeah.
we'd meet at JJ Bean and we sat and we'd try to elicit what people were going for and what their limitations were. I remember you talking about
Want to tell our
traffic.
American audience what JJ Bean is?
Oh, so JJ Bean for our Americans and Europeans and Africans and Asians and wherever else you live other than
You're so diverse.
so diverse. I'm super inclusive. JJ Bean is a local coffee roaster. So most people here would never go to Starbucks.
But good.
Oh, it's really good. Yeah, it's a local company.
A good Starbucks.
Yeah, it's ethically sourced and
come on.
all that stuff. Also inclusive.
Those buzzwords.
And sustainable.
Sustainable.
Anyways.
Farm to table.
Farm to table, organic, non-GMO, artisanal. Okay. So we're sitting there in JG Bean, and so we say, like, this is you for the low, low price of $21.60.
Yeah.
You too can overcome your road rage and be a successful artist.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the hook?
That was the hook. That was it. I was like, this is a problem. And I had a temper growing up. I was homeschooled and I just got made fun of as a kid. So I kind of have a temper tantrum every time that would happen. And you know, it was always this like thing, it was trigger. It was more like, that'd be kind of interesting if I could like just stop doing that.
Right.
Like, what a mindfuck. What a crazy idea. You know, I don't have to live with this tantrum popping up every time something bad happened or something I made a mistake.
If that all the things it promised were true, and some of them were, it would be worth that. I still believe that if you could evolve any one of your limiting patterns, it would be worth $2,000. What were you going to say?
Well, whoever said family member did a really good job of you had trust, and then just said, well, what if you could get rid of that? Would it be worth the cost?
Yeah.
I probably taught that family member
those
how to
two
do that.
things right there are kind of, why someone would do it.
Yeah, because we
100%.
believe that. And that was our job, is to isolate what somebody's main, their goals were, right? What is it that you want? And then what's stopping you from having that? And sometimes it was just like trying to isolate one pattern or one thing and then saying, hey, is it worth it to overcome that? Okay, so then you did a 5-day first, is that right?
I did the 5-day. Yeah, that's the only thing I did, really.
Right. You didn't do Athos after?
No, I ran out of money.
So we didn't overcome your financial limitations.
No.
But did the 5-day address the issue that you signed up for?
You know what? It did, I think. It resolved a few other things that were going on, too. I was dating Bree, who became my wife, and at the time, we weren't married yet. But there was this ex of hers, and every time he would come up in a conversation, I would get really there's this boiling anger that would just come out of me. And I'd be so, you know what I mean? Like it's uncontrollable. I'd see red. And it was nothing. He just came up in conversation. So that was one of the things that actually I was able to wipe out.
Oh, great.
Completely.
So
it was wild.
Did you have an EM about that?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
Do you remember what was that? And you don't have to share this, but only if you're so
Sure.
inclined. Like, do you remember what the sort of, and I'm saying this because our Patreon audience always wants to know, like, what were the good parts about it? Like, and so oftentimes when I'm trying to explain what an EM is like, is there's usually some belief that's like the underpinning of that reaction that kind of holds the whole thing in place. Do you remember what it was?
I was explaining this to someone recently, like maybe a few months ago, in the process. And I was like, the process is really fuzzy right now because it was so long ago. But the question of like, what do you lose if you let go of this anger and hatred for this person? I was like, oh, I don't. Yeah, it was a click, and something happened where I for some reason, like an old car comes into my mind in the desert, and I meet this guy, and I'm like, you know what, you're okay, man. You know what, I don't hate. You know, it was like in the Palm Desert, and it was a Cadillac, and I don't know, that kind of popped into my mind of like that, just how I visualize, because I tend to use imagery to represent moments, like very profound moments where I'm letting go of something. So that kind of popped into my mind just now of like, it's just saying goodbye to that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, letting go of that anger.
I picture that now in a future music video. Yeah?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Do you think?
Yeah.
We're going to go to Palm Desert? And
Talk therapy to art. Just like that.
Well, that's how it happens. I don't want to jump too far ahead to the song because there's lots of imagery there, but we'll pause for a second. So you did the anything else from your 5-day that you remember that we've never really talked about that. Like you had a good experience overall, right?
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. I was hungry all the time.
Yes.
And I had to be like, should I go pee now or later, or do I not pee?
Always.
And I got sick.
Did you
I threw up in the bathroom twice.
Really?
Yeah.
At the center?
Yeah. I got so sick, but I was like, I gotta push through, like really making strides here, you know?
That bathroom would make you sick too.
Yeah.
You puked. And then we probably...
that bathroom was basically a septic.
Oh, the bathroom was terrible.
It was brutal.
The one in the back?
Oh my God. It was like, I'm sure I didn't help.
No. No.
Honestly, it smelled like I was going into like raw sewage.
Yeah. No, I know. It's terrible.
As you were.
Any other like fun tidbits or like memories from the 5-day? Who taught your 5-day?
His name was
Alex?
Jim Del Negro.
Jim Del Negro.
Jim Del Negro.
Do you know he's since passed?
What?
Yeah. Jim passed away. When did he pass away?
August of 21.
Yeah. Yeah. He had a heart condition that Keith had convinced him was emotional.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad.
I know. And he was such a good guy. He was like, he really
awesome.
cared. Yeah, he really cared about people. I mean, he was a full on, when you talk about being brainwashed, like he was a full soldier for the mission, you know? And like.
So he didn't leave. He just stuck with Keith the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And he died before he could wake up.
That is so sad.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I know. Poor Jim.
Yeah.
We loved him. He was one of Nippy's groomsmen at our wedding.
Wow. Yeah. He was a very, very sweet guy. Nice to me. You know, I remember we went out for lunch one day, you, me, and him, and a bunch of the other guys. And yeah, he seemed just like a sweetheart. Yeah.
Did you connect with anyone else there or is it mostly, we have our mutual friend, your family member, who brought you in?
Yeah.
So what happened after that? Do you remember what life was like after your 5-day?
Yeah, I remember going out. My wife still gets mad at me for this.
Why?
Oh, because we went out for tacos at this place on Davie, and she's like, "So, how was it?" And I was like, "Well, honey, I can't really talk about it."
Oh, shit.
You were doing the top secret thing.
Now thinking it's like so funny, but like I was being top secret. I was like, I could get sued if I talk about this. This is pretty sensitive information.
Did you really feel that you could get sued?
Yeah, because the legal stuff with like the Bronfmans and all that, I'd heard about it. I had actually researched a bit about it before I did it, and I'd seen that they were out suing. But I did tell her like it was very cool, and it definitely changed my outlook, my perspective, and I felt more like in control of my emotions, and I understood who I was a bit better. Yeah.
So it did bring some awareness to your life.
Yeah, definitely. And it still does.
Talking about things that you don't normally talk about tend to do that, regardless of who it's with.
Yeah.
And then you credit ESP for it.
That's right.
Well, I mean, we know now that he took from a bunch of modalities and packaged together essentially like talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, neurolinguistic programming, Buddhism, some new age stuff. Yeah. What's that guy's name? David Hawking's Power versus Force.
Yeah, I read that.
Right?
Great book.
Yeah.
No, there's literally, when I read it, when we were out, I found like 2 or 3 passages that were verbatim taken from it, lifted from it.
Yeah.
Which is wild. But all that to say, we love it when we run into people who are like I didn't tell you this, but I was at a birthday party for one of the kids, and there was a parent there that I had totally forgotten had come to ESP, and she was a bit weirded with me at first because she didn't know, like I hadn't talked to her, and she's like, "I just want you to know, like it really helped me in my life, and like no hard feelings for me." And like, no, great. I mean, we love to know that there was some good that came out of it, and
the
most
further
people
away from Keith you were, the more benign this looked. It looked. I mean, that's the biggest thing that he was able to pull off is like you go to Mexico, you go to LA, you go to New York, you go to the Vancouver centers, and you just feel like, there's a bunch of people that are talking about their goals. Yeah. And it's benign. And that's kind of the genius of it. If you're going to call anything genius, it made it look like a school and a business.
Yeah.
But closer to him you got, the worse.
So far, all the comments from the Patreon people are, please tell John Bryant we love his song. I love it. Adrian Olson, best podcast theme song ever. Sandy Art, love that song. Justin Underhill, what is your take on the weird-ass Nexium a cappella stuff? Are you familiar with that whole story?
Oh, no. What happened?
That was before your time. We're going to do another episode on that. But long story short, in 2010? No, before we got married. So like 2007, 8, 9, there was a whole a cappella trend like around the time of Pitch Perfect. And there was big in the colleges. And Keith created like an a cappella event in Albany and brought all these major a cappella personas, leaders, whatever you call them, to Albany to do this event. And really it was just another way for him to like source out college girls.
Totally what he was doing.
Yeah. That was always like, how can I tap into that group of hot college or that group of young women or that group of young women?
He was basically a predator.
He was a predator.
Yeah.
But you weren't around, so that you won't have much to say on that.
Yeah. No comment.
No comment. Okay. So you go back to your life, you use the tools. Mm-hmm. How did you first hear about the shit hitting the fan?
My family member friend called me up. I remember the street I was on. I was on Clark driving in my car. And she said, hey, there's going to be some news coming out in the next few days. It's going to be in the New York Times and it's not good. And I'm like, what is it? And she's like, I can't say anymore, but because I have the Bronfmans after me. And the Bronfmans, like they're just crazy.
They're so scary.
They're so scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I pulled over and I was like, Bree was in the car with me. I was like, what? I wonder what happened. And I was like, probably some sex stuff.
Yeah.
That's immediately what I thought.
Yeah.
It's like, I bet Keith is like fucking like, yeah, he's doing something weird, you know?
It's funny that you came to that on your own without having ever interacted with him, because you never went to Albany.
No.
Right.
No.
Well, what else would it be?
Yeah, exactly. I was so obsessed with cults at the time anyways, even before leading up to it. I'd watched a lot of documentaries and I was like, I don't know. He's got the long hair. He's doing Buddhist stuff. He's recruiting a lot of beautiful women. I think there's some sort of sex thing going on. That's initially what I kind of thought.
Then did you dismiss that thought, or did you maintain that thought? Because I had that thought too in the past, but then I'm like, well, but he's the most ethical man in the world. So
right.
How could he be?
Kind
of a double-edged sword like
messing
that?
around with people. Yeah. I don't remember if I like dismissed it, but I remember thinking that it might be some sex stuff.
Right.
That was just initially like, because that's the way a lot of them go, you know?
No, that's so true.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that you were so obsessed with cults. And one of our questions from Jess was, what is your favorite cult? Because everybody has one.
Ooh, my favorite cult. Shoot, I don't know.
Or your least favorite. I mean,
My least favorite.
The one that you're most...
Jonestown?
Yeah, that you're most intrigued by, I guess, would be another way to say it.
Yeah. The Hale-Bopp comet, that one is fascinating to me.
That's the one with T and Doe and the Mars and the Nike.
Yeah.
Oh my God, why am I blanking? Heaven's Gate.
Heaven's Gate.
Yeah.
That one's one of the first ones I ever heard of.
Yeah.
Growing up. So that one always it was infamous for me.
that one was crazy.
Yeah.
We haven't done an episode on that, mostly because there's not many people left to
left.
interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some people that were in it and left, but that's on the list.
Yeah.
There's just been so many other more pressing ones.
What's your favorite one?
I mean, there's favorite in terms of like, I find there's so many parallels, and it was interesting to learn about was probably Buddha Field from Holy Hell. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, that was just a great movie as well.
Favorite's a tough word
Yeah,
for me. The one that's still the most intriguing is how Scientology gets away with what they're getting away with.
Yes. I was just thinking that.
How there's an
Baffles.
ecosystem to support the success of its leaders in spite of everything that's coming out, and how there's no one to put the cuffs on the perpetrators. It's just how.
Yeah.
How
do you do it?
Well,
Where's David Miscavige's wife?
I know.
I don't know.
Where's she been for the last 15 years or whatever?
Leah Remedy took like, I think, 50 to 100K of her own money to hire an attorney to find out.
She's on it.
If you go to her Twitter account, she basically exposes everything that she can still.
Yeah.
Nothing's
unreal.
So, and I think there's things in place that protect them.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure the question that all our fans want to know, what is the story behind the hit theme song, Cultivated?
Yeah. Well, actually, I was just thinking about this morning. I want to play. I'm just going to grab the guitar real quick.
Yeah.
I'll play you what it started as.
Yes.
Okay.
So you hear that this is blown up.
Yeah.
And then you read the New York Times.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were inspired to write what we are going to hear right now.
Yeah. I think it was like the next day.
You just picked up a guitar and wrote this.
Yeah. I was in a studio just not too far from here. The next day, because the reason I was on Clark was I was coming from that studio writing that day. And the next day I go back and I'm like, hey, I think this thing I was in is a cult. And he was like, oh, no way. That's crazy. And so I explained it. He was like, yeah, maybe that's a cult, man. Anyway, so we started writing like a few songs. And maybe this one came a little later because then the news came out.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't too much longer after my friend reached out and let me know that something was coming out in the New York Times. I think it was like 2 or 3 days later that it all came out. And then anyway, we wrote a song and it started like on an acoustic guitar, really chill, like. And then we wrote the song, demoed it. It was
I
all
want to hear
done.
more. I don't want it to be over. So it's a little bit happier.
It was happier. It was like folky,
Yeah.
you know? And I'd have to find
It's
it.
a totally different chord progression.
Totally different chord progression and different melody.
My dad's a folk singer.
Yeah, sounds like.
Yeah. But I heard the song. I was like, I don't love the song, but I love the. And so I went back the next day or something, and I was like, I don't love the song, but I like this part. Can we just throw a drum beat to it?
Mm-hmm.
And then he puts a drum beat to it, and we put it in. And I'm like, that's it. We got to do something with that. And then we wrote what became Cultivated that day.
Wow. And didn't change it after that.
Didn't change it after that, no. But the first song, it was a song, and then scrapped that, and then it became Cultivated.
How did you find out about it?
I'm trying to remember. I think you just reached out and told me, didn't you?
Yeah.
You're like, I wrote a song.
Yeah. I probably saw you at some point after and was like, hey, here's a song I wrote.
And I just loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it immediately. Like as soon as I heard the lyrics, I think I even cried the first time I heard it. I was like, it really viscerally captured so much of my experience for me. And that was, like I shared this with you when you first sent it. Like music has been a big part of my healing process. And at the time we didn't even have a podcast, right? So we were in talks with we had sold our life rights to a company that obviously never made it. But I remember we were excited and I sent the files to the company and they're like, great, like we're nowhere near doing the opening theme song. But I'm like, this is the song. Because we were going to be EPs on it. We're going to be producers first. Like, this is the song. And we'd also just been watching Big Little Lies. Do you ever watch that series? With that song, Cold, Cold Heart?
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, yeah.
That's such a gripping, visceral theme song for that show and totally hooks you right away. And I felt that same way about Cultivated. So I said, please, like, let us have it. And then that didn't go anywhere. And then The Vow came out and then the podcast emerged. And then we were like, let's do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the origin.
That's where it came from. Yeah.
I found a spot.
Yeah, man.
Found a very well-loved spot. Like our audience.
In fact, the song was more important than our podcast for a minute.
What do you mean?
People like the song more than the podcast for a minute.
Who is this guy? Well, a lot of podcasts have just like a jingle, that you can buy off a bank.
Yeah.
And
they're literally like ding dong ding.
Yeah, it's like diddle ding ding, beam beam.
Yeah, just so generic.
Super generic or like boom 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 boom. Welcome to this podcast.
It's true.
I could write one right now, just humming something.
I think you sent me one of them, and I was like, no, this is not going to fly. We have to make this song like, there's no way. It just fits so well.
It fits so well, and it made it more meaningful also because A, you were a student.
Yeah.
And B, the song was about...
The origin's not wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The song. It's from our experience too, so we can relate.
Yeah.
This is totally spontaneous. I hadn't thought about this. Feel free to say no because I don't want to put you on the spot. But can we play a couple of the, maybe either the chorus or some like the bridge or something just to just talk about it?
Sure.
The lyrics themselves, since this is a music focus. And we're in a studio and you have a guitar.
I wasn't anticipating this, so I didn't tune.
It's okay.
Well, since it's been on the top of the charts, how many weeks was it?
On the top of the chart?
Yeah.
Oh, it's never been on the top of the charts.
Not yet.
Not yet, no. But it's well loved in
Turkey.
Countries such as Turkey.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Turkey for some reason just took off.
Do you think it's how they consume music? Countries kind of disperse it and distribute it and consume it differently. You said it was on a playlist.
It was on big playlist there. And it just, for some reason, it just really blew up. I actually heard it in the dentist office.
No way.
Getting my teeth cleaned. And no one was there. And I was just sitting there like, it's my song. This is my song. And I had something going on. I'm like, this is my song. And then the girl came back in and I was like, oh, this is crazy. You don't have no idea what just happened. That's my song playing. And she's like, cool.
Say it one more time.
Oh, this is my song. Yeah, guys, this is my song. And that's what Anyway.
I may or may not put that on the internet because that's so awesome.
Do it.
Okay, so Britt, give us like a little taste.
Sinking down to the depths of the ocean. Oh wait. It's a fixation cultivated now. You're asking for a promise I can't keep, just like a game of hide and seek. Secrets in the silence when you speak. I'm trying to find the key. Holy smokes.
I don't remember the key either.
Can't help you there.
Yeah.
Not my lane.
It's an E minor. This is really funny.
I can go British accent and pretend. That was E minor, is it?
Turn it up to 11.
It's great now. It's great. Keep going.
Suffocation.
Saucy Jack.
I'm cultivated now.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Not what I love, but what I won't allow. Oh, here it is. It's a fixation. I'm cultivated now.
Yeah.
It's not what I love, but what you won't allow.
Like every lyric is so.
You're asking for a promise I can't keep. Just like a game of hide and seek. There's secrets in the silence when you scream. I'm sinking down to the depths of the ocean, hanging on to the weight of my love. If I let go of it all, I could leave, but I know I won't.
Yeah.
It's so good. I have shivers.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. It's a dark song.
It's dark, but like every line has takes me to a. I don't know if you have the same thing. Well, probably we're different at things in our heads, but it takes me back to like a different moment or like a different angsty kind of like the silence when you scream.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I feel like there were so many times where I couldn't outwardly express how I was feeling.
Yeah.
Because we were so suppressed and you couldn't go up and express anything because then you'd be complaining and you couldn't go down because then it'd be bad leadership. So we were always this toxic positivity of it's so great.
Trapped feeling.
Yeah.
Sure.
And sinking down.
Which is cultivated, isn't it?
It really is.
We're all cultivated.
Are you just bringing your Nigel St. Hubbins to the...
Whenever you talk music, you have to
You have to do it with a British accent.
Yeah, you have to,
British,
and you
yeah,
have to finish everything with a question, don't you?
I believe you do, yeah.
Right?
As far as I know, yeah.
Well, let's just finish the rest of the interview in an accent, shall we? We should have taken gummies for this.
Yeah.
That could be part 2. Okay. If our audience really loves this, the next time we rendezvous, we'll just get super high.
We'll pop a gummy and just...
We should have John down for our live event.
Oh, yeah.
In Atlanta?
Yeah.
We're having a live event this fall.
Oh,
we haven't picked a date yet, but we want to have some bangers there.
Yeah, or we can also combine it around like if you have a trip to Nashville or something.
Yeah.
We've met some really amazing...
He seems like he should be the opening.
Well, for sure you'd be the opening.
Can I?
Yeah, obviously.
I'm just going to ask.
Yeah, for sure you'd be the opening.
I think you guys taught me to like just ask. Just ask the question.
Yeah,
I would like to be a part of this.
Oh yeah, no, it'd be so fun, and then we could like film it and do all sorts of stuff with it. I had some more questions. Hold on one second. What would it take to get you to join an actual cult? Again, snacks, good music. Have you ever been close to anything else culty?
Yeah, I was in Mars Hill Church.
You
in
were?
Seattle, yeah.
No way. When was that?
That was in 2012, 13, 14. I was like an active member.
Were you doing music?
I was, yeah. I went to it and I'd gone in 2004 and 5 because I was part of this like discipleship training thing through a church. Anyway, so I went to Mars Hill then, and then when I moved to Seattle for a few years, I married a woman out there who is not Bree. Mm-hmm. And then we divorced soon after, and there's a whole like abusive kind of system that church put me through when I went through that divorce, which is a whole other story. But yeah, I was in Mars Hill, and that was very, very culty and lots of abuse.
How did you get out?
That wasn't so hard because I had to leave. I just had to get out of everything that was a part of my life in Seattle. So everything that me and my ex-wife were part of, I had to basically cut ties with. So it wasn't too hard, but it was emotionally really hard.
Yeah.
Because I'd grown up in the church. I'd always been like, considered myself somewhat of like a leader or in the church, I guess, or in that world. And then to be like excommunicated and also seen as like a coward or like a failure in that world was just really like a bit of an identity check. And I had to come to grips with this new reality and leave it and walk away from it.
And was any of that informing the song?
A little bit. I mean, for that album called Classic, I pulled from a few things, a few experiences in my life, but that Cultivated was definitely more about Nexium than Mars Hill.
It makes me wonder, not that I'm trying to therapize you or anything, because I'm not a therapist. But,
do it.
but when I heard the song, I was like, I'm surprised how accurate it was, given how peripheral you were and you weren't, you didn't experience it with the quote, bad stuff.
Yeah.
So I wonder how much of it maybe subconsciously was from Mars Hill, which I have heard we haven't done a deep dive on it, but it's been requested that we do an episode on it. And there's I think there's a documentary out about it right now, right?
Yeah.
Also, I think you underestimate, like, yes, he wasn't part of the bad stuff, but taking a 5-day, there's bad stuff in it. And once the Band-Aid's ripped off, you can kind of go back knowing the thing that you just went through was bad and have a set of eyes that filter for the things that might have been bad and abusive. Right?
Yeah.
And that can inform.
Or subconsciously, he was healing and allowing others to heal.
Now you got me thinking. Yeah, I mean, that whole album could have been, just growing up in the church, you see so much, and I'd seen so many aspects of it. I worked in it. I also played in a Christian band years previous and seen every church in America and Canada, like every type of church.
How did I not know this?
I don't know.
That's messed up that I missed this huge gap.
You have a good pulse on what they all look like and sound like. And it's not that mysterious how these things work.
Yeah.
Have you heard our episode with Will Rutherford, who's our producer, but also was high up in a number of different evangelical, but as a musician as well?
I don't know. I don't think I have.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, please
he'll
do.
be listening to this. Hi, Will.
What's up, Will?
And he just had a really interesting faith journey.
Yeah.
Through the whole thing. Lots of overlap there, I see. For you guys.
A couple post-Christians.
Yeah.
Deconstructionists.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is definitely like kind of the cult du jour right now. A lot of people deconstructing and still wanting to have a faith, something, or a relationship with God or whatever you want to call it, but not in the structure that they were raised in and trying to figure out how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot to navigate at 37.
Yeah. Are you 37?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a little spring chicken.
Just teen young buck.
But I also didn't know that you were married before. It's the whole like pre-life that you've had.
Yeah.
Anything that you notice that's culty in the music industry?
Oh.
Which we were planning on doing a whole episode on, but we haven't done yet.
Without getting conspiracy theory.
Bro. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I think there are rabid fans that I would say are very cult-like in the way that they attack people that attack their leader, you know? They're very defensive of like Taylor Swift's fans. And I love Taylor Swift. She's a great singer-songwriter artist, but, you know, and there are many other artists that have rabid fans. But yeah, just that fandom seems very culty to me. And then in the higher-ups of like labels and the way that they can kind of control artists. And yeah, I've just heard really like some horror stories of artists that'll get signed by a bigger artist or a bigger label. An artist who owns a label, they'll hire or they'll sign a bunch of artists that sound like that artist, the one artist,
and shelve them.
And then they'll shelve them. They'll give them $50,000 to record an album. They'll sign them in for like 3 or 4 albums, which is about 8 years of your life. So there's your career gone. So yeah, they'll shelve their whole thing so that they don't have any competition in that genre.
Wow,
Yeah.
that I'd never heard of.
They do that in acting too.
Yeah,
You
that's
look like
true.
a guy they're getting behind.
Really?
Yeah, they'll
In
sign
acting?
3 or 4 that look like you or whatever.
Sheesh.
That explains my
Not set 'em
career.
up.
That's why I'm not famous.
Well, everything's being decentralized now.
Yeah.
Right? So you kind of don't have, you still have to make wise decisions and understand the systems, and the systems really aren't set up for your success. It's set up for their success.
Sure.
And a lot of those things right now, because of technology, are being neutralized, which is why you see a lot of the fights that are going on right now.
Yeah.
So there's positives to it.
Yep.
Well, for those people who don't know much about you, one question that came up was, what are your musical influences? So other than the church, how do you describe your music as a genre? Like what genre does it fit into?
It
like
would be
indie folk?
Indie singer-songwriter.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not like mainstream pop and it's not fully folk. So it's somewhere in the middle of that.
Yeah.
So just modern folk or indie singer-songwriter would be how I'd explain it. But my biggest influences were Jeff Buckley, Bob Dylan, Neil Young, The Smiths. Yeah, those, I mean, there's so many.
Yeah.
Joni Mitchell.
Yes.
But I'll go to like some for lyrics.
Right.
Like for lyrical inspiration. Leonard Cohen would be a big one,
No wonder.
Yeah, he's the GOAT.
And Bob Dylan.
And Dylan, yeah.
2 goats. And Joni Mitchell.
Yeah, yeah. And then for like music, if I'm like, I want to be inspired musically, I'll listen to like Korean rockabilly or something.
I don't know that.
Yeah, there's just a Korean rockabilly.
Oh, that's a genre.
I'll just type it in. I'll be like, what's Korean rockabilly like? And I'll just listen to that for a little bit and just try
Switch
to
it
pull.
up.
Yeah, just switch it up. Try to pull new ideas of like, okay, that sound or that rhythm or that tempo. See what I can do in that world.
Fair.
Yeah.
You know who Farron is?
Farron?
Yeah.
No.
Farron played at
Should I?
Farron played at the folk festival, and I grew up with Farron because it was just like a Canadian like folk.
Folk legend.
And Sarah and her mom were like, "You don't know who Farron is?" I'm like, "Guys, come on."
And then two people separate from my mom were like, "Oh yeah, Farron is epic. Farron is like a legend."
So I'm at the folk festival. I'm like, Farron. Everyone, I go, she's an icon. You know, like I have no idea who she is. Icon.
But he also didn't know who Raffi was when I met him.
A lot of people don't know who Raffi are.
No, he knows.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
But I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
But I'm Canadian. It's a really important part of that.
I know a
that
lot.
Sentence. So I go to Sarah. I go, Farron's like BC's Bob Dylan. And she's like, exactly like BC's. It's like straight face. I'm like, Sarah, I was totally joking. Nobody knows who Farron is except people here. Like, everybody's trying to act like she's this huge icon. I was like, come on. And then there was the other one, Ry Cooter.
You know Ry Cooter.
Oh, of course. Guitar legend.
See?
He taught Steve Vai.
Okay, maybe so.
All right.
Maybe so.
But
this might all be true, but they were talking about Ry Cooter. Ry Cooterman or Ry Cooter?
Ry Cooter.
Ry Cooter's son is playing.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Oh, so Ry Cooter wasn't playing.
It was his son.
The son of
Which
Vai.
fair enough, but everyone was just like acting like it was this like
It's a big deal at the folk fest.
big deal. And it was
It
just
is.
funny how I was like, with Sarah, I was like, yeah, I hear Farron's playing. She's like, it's Canada's Bob Dylan. I'm like, Sarah.
I'm just talking shit.
Sarah, no, it's not.
But it all started with Raffi.
But I will say, Farron was good.
Yeah.
Is good.
Is good.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
So,
Check Farron out.
yeah. How you spell that, by the way?
Ferron. Our Patreon fans are going to weigh in on this, I'm sure, because they always do.
Yeah.
But where can people find you? And what's the best way to keep in touch with you?
Oh.
Do you have like a newsletter?
I don't have a current newsletter going out, but I have Instagram, and I use that mostly, which is not much these days, but trying to muster the strength to jump on social media.
Kids are on TikTok, we hear.
I hear that, yeah. And I'm on Threads and TikTok. And
What's Threads? Somebody just invited me to Threads. What
Threads
is
is
it?
the new Twitter
Is it
It's
less
not-
volatile?
for now.
For now.
We'll see where it goes.
You've heard how I've described to our audience what Twitter is. It's the bathroom wall for social media.
Yeah, it's a dumpster
It
fire.
really is. It's
Yeah.
like no one's on there to listen. They're there to persecute you for having a different belief system. It's just
screaming.
or fortify your own. They go to Twitter to fortify their own.
Yeah.
Or to say for a good time call,
Yeah, there's that too.
right? On the bathroom wall.
Okay.
That's what I used to say.
For a good time, tweet at so and so.
So you're going to come to Atlanta and do our
Yeah.
opening. And what else?
Get that date.
We'll get a date. What's next for you now as a singer, songwriter, husband, artist? And you're acting too, right?
I am, yeah.
How's that
Yeah.
going?
Good.
There's a strike now. I don't know if you.
Yeah.
It sucks right now. No, I did a movie like a MOW a couple weeks ago. So that was good.
And you were playing a singer.
I was playing a singer and the best friend of the lead who, was a supporting role. It was so
you were
easy.
like number 4 or 5 on the call sheet.
Yeah.
That's
kind of.
huge.
Cash in on that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Honestly, supporting roles in MOWs are so great because you're not in every day.
Yeah.
You get paid well. It's enough days so you get a chunk of change,
Mhm.
and you can learn a lot too about the film industry because you're like just there a lot. You're probably there in a lot of scenes, and you don't have to do too much. You probably didn't have a lot to memorize. Am I right?
Honestly, the 3 scenes I was in, my lines were all the same. Basically, I jump into the conversation between the 2 leads, and I'm like, "Wow, Amelia, that's really cool of you. Thanks so much." And then I leave. All 3 scenes had the same kind of thing. It was so easy. So,
And did you ever encourage them to date, and not to give up the chance?
I didn't even get it. No.
No.
It was the same lines.
They didn't even need your advice.
No, man.
You just played the song.
They knew. Yeah, just play the song, man.
You set the tone.
And you got
Yeah.
to play a song,
Yeah, it looks great. Like we were actually playing the song in
and was it your song?
the scene. I wrote one of the songs actually for the movie. So
That's amazing.
it was cool, to be involved in that part because the label was like, they reached out and then my acting agent reached out for the same movie separately.
Mhm.
Oh, nice.
So then I got both to write a song for it and also to be in it.
You got paid for 2 skill sets.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Cashing
So-
in.
Yeah. Cashing in, man. Gotta make that.
All right, let's
make
get them
them
to Atlanta.
dollars.
Yes. Yes. Well, and can you work in the U.S.? How does that work when you do tours and stuff?
Yeah, so I'm getting an O1, and then the plan right now is there's a friend down in the States that willing to let me sublet his place. So get down
In
there
Nashville?
to LA.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah, Nashville's on the horizon, but I think for this winter, we'll do LA.
Well, as soon as we are dialed into the agent scene, which we are not yet because we've been moving, we can also help there because once you have your O1 visa and you can come and do work in Atlanta.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, that'd be so great. So thank you so much for letting us come and do this after 2.5 years of talking about it.
Yeah.
It's great to...
We're cultivated, officially.
Yes, we're officially cultivated.
We're fully cultivated. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah,
and maybe we can, at the end of this, play the full song, and we'll link to all your stuff in our show notes.
Please do. Yeah.
That's great.
We'll see you soon.
It's a fixation I'm cultivated now. It's not what I love, but what you won't allow. You're asking for a promise I can't keep. You like to see me on my knees, begging for the silence when you scream. I'm sinking down to the depths of the ocean. I'm hanging on to the weight of my love. If I let go of it all, I could leave, but I know I won't. Under the surface, the water fills my lungs. This ground I worship has swallowed up its young. And you give for a promise I can't keep. Just like a game of hide and seek, the secrets in the silence when you scream. Sinking down to the depths of the ocean. Hanging on to the weight of my love. If I let go of it all, I could leave, but I know I won't. Sinking down to the depths of the ocean. Hanging on to the weight of my love. If I let go of it all, I could leave, but I know I won't. Secrets in the silence. How could I be so honest? Secrets in the silence. Only time you dare to go. The secrets in the silence. Now I'm waking from the silence when you scream. Sinking down to the depths of the ocean. Hanging on to the weight of my love. If I let go of it all, I could leave, but I know I won't. Sinking down to the depths of the ocean. Hanging on to the weight of my love. If I let go of it all, I could leave, but I know I won't. I'm sinking down to the depths of the ocean. I'm hanging on to the weight of my love. If I let go of it all, I could leave, but I know I won't. I'm sinking down to the depths of the ocean, hanging on to the weight of my love. If I let go of it all, I could leave, but I know